This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. A new action plan aims to tackle the drug and alcohol problem Circular Head locals say is crippling the region. An initial round of funding will set up a drug action team as community groups vow to reduce dependency.
It's a town which has previously grabbed headlines for drug and alcohol affliction. Now in Smithton, there's a new push to prevent its spread, using a locally developed strategy.
What works here in Smithton doesn't work always in Hobart.
An initial $10,000 is going towards an action plan to be developed by local youth and Aboriginal centres. More money to implement the plan can become available down the track. Those at the front line say there's been a shift in recent years from marijuana to the harder drug ice.
Because ice gives them a higher high, it's quite easy to see that they're masking grief, loss. Also, this is a community that's had, quite a lot of the businesses have closed down.
A 2014 investigation found 10% of people in Smithton were on ice. Local councillor Jess Riley says current prevention programs are seeing results. This new funding could help her receive more support.
I've had a few that have been able to abstain from substances for a few weeks, for a few months.
We also want to work with the families of these participants as well, because we believe that a lot of the families, it's a generational problem, and the young people are just seeing that as normal behaviour, so that's what we want to change.
The funding is coming from the federal government's $300 million ICE task force. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Environmentalists are pleading with Tasmanians to responsibly dispose of rubbish following a recent mass clean-up in the Macquarie Harbour. Almost 200 volunteers cleared tons of debris from the World Heritage Area, with much of it household waste.
A pristine environment choking with plastic pollution.
Over 11 tonnes of debris is being collected.
Anna Wind leading the charge on clean-up, hosting 2 working bees between community and industry. A recent event collecting enough rubbish around Macquarie Harbour to fill 3 skip bins.
The sad thing is this is entirely preventable waste.
A report following the project finding the main source of the debris.
Littering, just plain old littering, dumping rubbish, historical and from commercial sources.
Over 40% coming from households or recreational activities, 19% from commercial businesses such as aquaculture, while 40% was unidentifiable, such as microplastics and buckets.
You know, what most people would think is, the pristine West Coast, and yet you've got this level of litter and waste that's washing up on the beaches. It just shows how much of a problem this really is.
While salmon farming in the area remains a contentious issue, the 3 companies are committing to more regular cleanups. Now calls for the issue to be tackled on a wider community scale.
There's an epidemic of plastic in our oceans. It strangulates animals, different species eat it, and of course it breaks down, plastic in particular breaks down into little micro particles that enters the food chains.
While this latest report is focused on Macquarie Harbour and the areas that surround it, it's urging all Tasmanians to be responsible with how they dispose of their rubbish and recycling to prevent plastics like this clogging our waterways.
It's not okay to throw rubbish out in the street, in the water. It's all up to us to keep it clean.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Public figures and unsung heroes featured on this year's Queen's Birthday Honours list. 23 Tasmanians formally recognised across a number of categories. But for one police officer, it's about inspiring the next generation of women.
At 18 years of age, Fiona Luthier joined Tasmania Police, and her 33-year-long career has been honoured with the Australian Police Medal.
I'd have to say that this award is the highlight of my career.
Getting involved with the multicultural and LGBTI communities and inspiring female police officers along the way.
I've mentored quite a few women throughout my career, and I take great pleasure in watching women come up through the ranks, and it's really good to see how many women we now have in our organisation.
Another Tasmanian honoured, former Greens leader and environmental activist Christine Milne awarded with Officer of the Order of Australia.
I certainly hope that this award will be encouragement for women in politics, but more particularly women in leadership, whatever field they take, but particularly for activism.
And Ms Milne has no plans to stop.
Oh, I'm a full-on activist and I will be to the day I die. It's every day is a day to make a difference, and I hope people will take that message from this award.
Making a difference at the heart of Andrea Gerard's win of the Medal of the Order of Australia, identifying the unmarked graves of Tasmanian soldiers.
It's very exciting, but the thing is though, it's not just for me, it's a team effort. The Headstone project, without the guys who support me and do a lot of the work, I just couldn't do it.
Ruby Kamain, Southern Cross News.
And while many recipients work in the public eye, there are also those who go above and beyond behind closed doors. Today, an opportunity to celebrate those who might otherwise go unnoticed.
Not all heroes wear capes. For some, giving back to the community is their lifeblood. The Queen's Birthday honours also recognising those who work behind the scenes.
There are so many people that haven't full recognition, and it would be good if they were nominated. The more the better.
Launceston's Jennifer Fraser is just one everyday Tasmanian commended for her service. She's clocked 30 years helping young people like Emma find their voice.
I think we do this work because the love we have of developing skills in young people rather than really the recognition, so the recognition's an added bonus.
In Deloraine, celebrations were in full swing for Marilyn Young. The community worker has kept busy over the last 30 years, involved in the local football club, Rotary and Show Society, just to name a few.
There's a bit of work to do, but there is fun as well, and you meet different people. I've made lifelong friends.
And she's showing no sign of slowing down.
I think when you get a bit older, I thought, well, maybe I can ease off the football club or the Show Society and maybe do the Rotary thing, but I don't seem to have eased off on the other two at all.
Also honoured today, Bridgewater's Helen Manser for decades of community service. She says it's been a long road, but an enjoyable one.
For over 30 years work in the community, but they helped me too. I probably still wouldn't be here otherwise.
Any citizen can nominate any other citizen in Australia for what is our preeminent civilian award.
Judy Augustine, Southern Cross News.
The state government says empty nesters looking to downsize and first home buyers will be better off after this week's budget. The Treasurer says those entering the market for the first time will receive a 50% discount on stamp duty for homes up to $400,000 during the 2018-19 financial year. A similar discount for seniors is also expected to free up large homes as Hobart's accommodation crisis continues into winter.
There are a lot of older people living in properties that they've held for a long period of time. This incentive, I hope, will encourage them to consider what their needs are and if there is a more appropriate property for them.
The $8.5 million plan has been dismissed as nothing new by Labor.
Without additional supply, people aren't going to be able to downsize their houses. Where are people going to move to?
The state budget will be handed down on Thursday. Police are on the hunt for witnesses that may have seen a yellow trail bike driving recklessly and evading police in Launceston CBD on the 2nd of June. The 24-year-old rider was apprehended shortly after the incident and will appear in court on traffic and drug charges at a later date. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Police are also reminding motorists to drive safely after 2 significant speeding incidents on the state's roads this morning. Hobart Airport has been slapped with a new and unwelcome tag as the most delayed capital city airport in the country. A report commissioned by Finder.com says passengers faced almost 5,000 delayed flights last year, equating to 1 every 2 hours. But travellers are reminded delays are usually because of poor weather or congestion at other ports and rarely due to airport infrastructure.
In the TSL, the votes are in for the RACT Insurance Player of the Year after round 11. Jake Cox has taken 3 votes after a 3-goal haul for Clarence in its win over Launceston. Dakota Bannister is on the board with 3 votes after North Launceston's crushing victory over North Hobart.
And Matt Joseph takes top points for Glenorchy after its win over the Tigers. On the leaderboard, Ryan Bailey is out in front on 9 votes. Jake Cox and Taylor Whitford are trailing 1 vote behind. Devonport is the 2018 Lacko Seljack Cup champion after defeating South Hobart 1-0 at KG5 this afternoon. The win setting the Strikers up for another shot at FFA Cup glory, but they'll now have an anxious wait to find out who they'll meet in the round of 32.
An aggressive start by Devonport saw the ball locked in their offensive half for most of the opening minutes. A mad scramble from this free kick in the 15th, giving Devonport the lead, courtesy of Miles Barnard. South had their chances to equalise, but continued to be outclassed as Strikers skipper Braden Mann nearly made it 2-0. DeVecchi and Gorry slowly found their groove as South lifted late in the half, but Devonport's defence held firm, 1-0 at the main break. The deadlock remained deep into the second half as both sides scrambled for either a sealer or a leveller. Michael Holden in the thick of the action as Kieran Brown found himself in no man's land. The score still stagnant at 1-0 by the final whistle as Devonport booked yet another spot in the FFA Cup round of 32.
I couldn't be any more proud. You know, obviously had a tough year last year, picked up some good signs, brought some blokes back, and you know, really performed well now. And to win today, I mean, you see our crowd out here, it's unbelievable. Such a great feeling for us, and the boys are obviously stoked.
To the victors go the spoils for Ken Morton's men. They're left to rue what might have been for at least another year.
Credit to Devonport, they started like a house on fire and took the opportunity well, and we wish them all the best in the FFA Cup.
The Strikers' first round opponent is yet to be decided, but that appears the last thing on their minds as they return to Valley Road with another Lacko Seljack Cup. Andrew McCarthy, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian Jake Birtwistle has slipped back in the World Triathlon Series rankings following a disappointing day out in Leeds. Birtwistle dropped from 3rd to 7th on the table after finishing outside the top 20 in the Olympic distance event. His next race will be in Hamburg in mid-July. And Tasmanian Chris Golding has steered the NBL All-Australian team to victory in Game 2 of its series against China. Golding scored 16 points for the clash, including a crucial 4-point play in the final period.
Golding with a hand in his face, hits the 3 and the foul. Christopher Golding buries it, will go to the line for the 4-point play. Oh my!
The Aussies won 58-55 to go 2-0 up ahead of the final game of the series in Beijing on Tuesday.
Good evening. Well, I'm thinking we can probably give this long weekend a pass mark as far as the weather was concerned. I hope you had a good weekend. Hobart today 15 along with Burnie and Devonport. Launceston recorded 16 degrees. Friendly Beach is the top with 17 as temperatures sat above average today. Flinders Island and Strawn 16, King Island, Low Head and St Helens 15, Ouse 9 and Lyalweenie 7. Partly cloudy over the state today with low cloud over the north, bringing a few showers there. Quamby Brook around 4 millimetres was the top reading. Plenty of cloud also over the Bight with low pressure system there. Cloud from this system over central Australia and the east coast. The next low is moving closer to WA. Tomorrow a cold front passes over the state, extending further north as well. That next cold front approaches the Bight and high pressure ridges over the west and east of the country complete that picture. North to northeasterly winds at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots at times over the south and east, easing during the afternoon ahead of a westerly change. Strong wind warning for waters between Wineglass Bay clockwise to Flinders Island. Now for Tuesday, Hobart, a light shower or two later in the day, 15 degrees, 14 the top for Adventure Bay, rain at times for Tarraleah, 11 the high. Launceston rain and 13 for Devonport, Bridport rainy weather as well and 14 degrees. Burnie, rain, 13 the top, 15 for Strawn and Marrawar, 13 with wet weather about. And for the east, rain as well. St Helens, Swansea and Whitemark on Flinders, all on 15 degrees. On Wednesday, showers more likely over the north and west of the state. Showers on Thursday, again over the north and west with gusty winds, and a few showers on Friday, less likely over the east coast. Showers for Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney tomorrow. A sunny 23 degrees forecast for Brisbane and fine for Darwin after an early fog. A little bit of cloud around. Hobart currently 10 degrees, 10 degrees in Launceston, Devonport currently 12 degrees. Queen's Birthday Honours, Joe. I think it's outrageous, disgraceful and incomprehensible that you haven't been recognised yet. I nominate you every year. It all falls on deaf ears.
I'm a princess, not a queen. Thank you very much. That's all from the news team for now. See you a bit later.